there is a quiet justice woven into the fabric of existence, a justice that neither rushes nor forgets, but instead unfolds with the certainty of the rising sun. When you were wronged, it may have seemed as if the world turned its gaze elsewhere, as if cruelty was left unchecked and deception went unrevealed. But do not mistake silence for absence, nor delay for denial. The weight of injustice presses most upon the one who endures it. It stirs within the heart, whispering of unfairness, igniting a longing for immediate retribution. And yet, justice belongs not to the hands of the wounded, but to something greater, something beyond the fleeting judgments of men. There is no action without consequence, no cruelty without its appointed hour of reckoning. Just as a tree's roots stretch unseen beneath the soil before its branches bear fruit, so too does wrongdoing take time before it meets its appointed end. Those who have inflicted pain upon others believe, for a time, that they have escaped judgment. But what is unseen is not unfelt. The soul bears the weight of its choices, and time, ever the silent witness, brings all things to light. But let us speak also of you, the one who has suffered. Pain, though unasked for, is a sculptor. It carves away illusion, shapes endurance, and, if allowed, transforms bitterness into wisdom. The greatest tragedy would not be that you were wronged, but that you let injustice consume you from within. There are burdens that are not yours to carry. Vengeance is one of them. Justice is not always immediate, nor is it always visible, but it is always at work. There exists a natural order, a law beyond human courts, where every action, every word, and every intention is recorded in ways unseen. People who have wronged others often walk away with a false sense of victory, believing they have escaped consequences. But time is not blind, nor is it lenient. It moves quietly, yet it moves surely. There is something deceptive about injustice. It appears permanent when it is only temporary. It looks like the wicked prosper without consequence, while the righteous suffer in silence. But just as the sun casts long shadows in the evening, so too do the choices of men stretch beyond their moment of action. The liar may seem to have deceived the world, the betrayer may look untouchable, and the oppressor may sit comfortably in his position. Yet, in the unseen spaces of existence, a reckoning is already set in motion. Time carries with it the weight of memory. Every deed, every wound inflicted, and every moment of dishonesty leaves an imprint that cannot be erased. The human mind may forget, but the laws that govern reality do not. A man who builds his house on deception will one day find that the very foundation beneath his feet crumbles. The truth is patient, but it is also relentless. It does not rest until it is known. Some believe that if no punishment follows immediately, then none will follow at all. But this is the greatest deception of all. A farmer does not sow a seed and expect a harvest the next morning. He knows that time must pass, that the unseen work beneath the soil must take place before the plant emerges. So it is with justice. The consequences of actions are not always immediate because they are growing, taking root, developing unseen beneath the surface. And when the time is right, the harvest will come. One of the most unsettling truths about life is that those who commit injustice often appear untouched by it, at least for a season. They may flourish, their lives may seem filled with success, and their wrongdoing may seem forgotten. But the reality is far different than what is seen on the surface. No man outruns himself. No person carries the weight of deception, cruelty, or betrayal without feeling its pull in time. The outward appearance may remain intact, but the inner world slowly unravels. A man who builds his success on the suffering of others does not sleep as soundly as he pretends. A person who betrays trust is never at peace, no matter how well they disguise it. The weight of guilt, whether acknowledged or not, shapes their lives in ways they cannot escape. Some will drown themselves in distractions, others in ambition, and some in arrogance, believing that as long as they do not acknowledge the consequences of their actions, those consequences do not exist. But time is an artist, and it paints the truth on the very faces of those who thought they had escaped it. What is done in the dark does not remain in the dark. Like ink on parchment, actions leave their mark. A cruel word spoken may fade from memory, but it lingers in the heart of the one who heard it. A betrayal may be forgotten by the one who committed it, but it reshapes the world of the one who suffered it. Every action has ripples, extending further than the eye can see. It is not a question of if justice will come, but when and how. Many who have suffered injustice grow weary, waiting for its reckoning. They watch as wrongdoers thrive, as deceitful people are celebrated, and as cruel individuals continue their lives untouched. But the story is not yet finished. There are forces at play beyond human comprehension, forces that balance what seems imbalanced. The scales may tilt for a while, but they do not remain that way. Justice, though silent, is never absent. The greatest deception is to believe that wrongdoing can be committed without consequence. Time itself ensures that nothing remains unsettled forever. The unseen forces that govern justice are not bound by human schedules, nor do they forget. Even as the world moves forward, past actions remain woven into the fabric of reality, waiting for their moment of return. The weight of wrongdoing does not diminish over time, it accumulates. And when the moment arrives, when time completes its hidden work, justice will stand as an unshakable witness, revealing all that was once concealed. In the immediate aftermath of suffering, injustice feels like a permanent reality. The one who wronged you walks freely, seemingly untouched by their actions, while you carry the burden of pain. It appears as though they have won, as if the world has moved in their favor, while you remain stranded in sorrow. But this is merely an illusion, a trick of perspective that fails to account for the larger story unfolding beyond what the eye can see. Life often presents justice as something distant, something delayed, something uncertain. The dishonest man secures his fortune. The betrayer continues life unaffected. The cruel one moves forward without remorse. Their laughter echoes, their successes multiply, and the world seems to reward their actions rather than punish them. If one looks only at the surface, it is easy to conclude that injustice has triumphed, that wrongdoers have escaped, that cruelty is without consequence. But the surface is never the full story. There exists a profound law governing reality, one that does not operate according to human impatience. Just as a ship sailing on calm waters does not feel the pull of the deep currents beneath, so too do the wicked mistake temporary ease for true freedom. They move through life believing their actions have no weight, unaware that they are being carried toward an unavoidable reckoning. Time is neither hurried nor careless. It allows the illusion of injustice to persist only for a while before dissolving it completely. The nature of deception is that it offers a temporary advantage while demanding a permanent cost. A person who cheats may appear to prosper, but they have traded away their integrity. A liar may manipulate others, but in doing so, they erode their own trustworthiness. A cruel person may control those around them, but in the process, they ensure their own isolation. The illusion of power, success, and security lasts only until the hidden cost reveals itself. History is filled with those who believed themselves invincible, those who assumed that because their misdeeds were tolerated for a time, they would be tolerated forever. But every empire of injustice crumbles, every deceit is eventually unmasked, and every oppressor meets an end fitting for the suffering they caused. The passage of time does not protect the wicked. It merely allows their downfall to arrive at the appointed hour. The greatest error of those who do wrong is to mistake patience for permission. The illusion of injustice also weighs heavily on those who have been wronged. In moments of suffering, it is easy to believe that fairness is an illusion, that justice is a myth, that goodness is powerless. Pain distorts perception, making the world seem crueler than it truly is. It is tempting to believe that kindness is wasted, that honesty is futile, that righteousness is for the naive. But to believe this is to be deceived by appearances rather than guided by truth. The seasons of life are unpredictable. Summer does not last forever, nor does winter remain unbroken. Just as nature moves in cycles, so too does justice. The time of the wicked may flourish like spring's flowers, bright and seemingly unshakable. But time, like an unrelenting wind, ensures that no falsehood remains standing. The same world that allows them to rise will be the same world that watches them fall. The greater the illusion, the more devastating the reality when it is shattered. Those who have caused harm often underestimate the weight of their own actions. They may believe they are free from consequence, but they do not realize they have already chained themselves to an inevitable outcome. The wrong they commit alters their very nature, shaping them into people who cannot escape the consequences they have set in motion. A person who thrives on deceit becomes incapable of truth. A person who thrives on cruelty becomes incapable of love. In the end, they are not punished by an external force, they are undone by the very nature they have created for themselves. To the one who has suffered, the illusion of injustice is the greatest test. It is in this moment that faith is required, not in blind optimism, but in the deeper knowledge that reality does not bend to appearances. What is true remains true, regardless of how long the lie appears to stand. The moment may feel unfair, the pain unbearable, the silence endless, but justice is not absent. It is merely waiting. The illusion may persist, but it is only a matter of time before it collapses under the weight of truth. Pain is an unwelcome visitor, yet it shapes those it touches in ways comfort never could. It arrives unannounced, disrupts certainty, and forces a confrontation with the deepest parts of the soul. No one seeks it, yet no one who endures it remains the same. It has the power to break, but also the power to transform. Suffering strips away illusions. It reveals what was hidden beneath the surface, showing a person what they truly rely on. In times of ease, it is possible to believe in strength that has never been tested, in faith that has never been challenged, in resilience that has never been required. But when hardship comes, it uncovers the reality of a person's foundation. The weak crumble, the insincere are exposed, and the proud are humbled. Those who endure are reshaped not because they wished for suffering, but because suffering refined them in ways nothing else could. Pain as a way of sharpening perception. It forces a person to see clearly, to recognize what truly matters. Before hardship, life may have been filled with distractions, with pursuits that seemed important but held no real substance. Suffering cuts through the noise. It teaches that not all battles are worth fighting, not all desires are worth chasing, and not all people are worth trusting. It shifts priorities, revealing with painful clarity what should have mattered all along. Injustice is often the source of the deepest pain. Betrayal, deceit, cruelty, these wounds cut deeper than any physical injury. When someone has been wronged, the pain does more than hurt, it alters the way they see the world. Some become bitter, allowing the wrong to define them. Others become wiser, using the experience to build strength and understanding. The choice is not in whether suffering comes, but in how one responds to it. A person who has never suffered may believe they are strong, but strength without testing is mere assumption. True endurance is built in adversity. Just as a blade is refined by fire, so too is character shaped by hardship. The strongest souls are not those who have never known pain, but those who have walked through it and emerged with wisdom instead of resentment. Suffering also reveals the limits of human control. It is easy to believe in certainty, to assume that life will follow a predictable path. Pain shatters that illusion. It forces a reckoning with the reality that much is beyond human grasp. The response to this realization determines whether suffering leads to despair or to deeper understanding. Those who resist the lesson fight against the inevitable, clinging to control that does not exist. Those who accept it find a new kind of strength, one rooted not in domination over circumstances, but in resilience within them. Pain is a teacher of empathy. Before experiencing hardship, it is easy to judge others, to assume their struggles are the result of weakness or poor choices. But suffering breaks this arrogance. It teaches that pain does not discriminate, that loss and injustice touch every life. Those who learn from suffering do not become hardened, they become more compassionate. They recognize pain in others, not with indifference, but with understanding. Hardship has a way of removing pretense. In times of suffering, the masks people wear fall away. A person who appeared confident may be revealed as fearful. A person who seemed strong may crumble. And yet, within this stripping away of appearances, there is an opportunity. When all that is false is burned away, what remains is real. Those who embrace this truth emerge not as who they once were, but as who they were always meant to become. Pain does not offer its lessons gently. It does not arrive with kindness or leave without scars. But for those who listen, for those who refuse to let suffering define them, but instead allow it to refine them, pain becomes something else. It becomes the force that strengthens rather than destroys, the fire that purifies rather than consumes, the teacher that transforms rather than breaks. Justice, as understood by human beings, is often immediate and visible. People expect wrongs to be corrected swiftly, for consequences to be seen, and for balance to be restored in a way that can be measured. But divine justice does not operate according to human impatience. It is not rushed, nor is it forgetful. It moves with precision, unfolding in ways beyond human comprehension. There is a difference between human justice and divine justice. Human justice relies on evidence, witnesses, and laws, all of which can be manipulated or misused. The guilty sometimes escape, the innocent sometimes suffer, and the world seems indifferent to the cries of the wronged. But divine justice is not subject to error, deception, or manipulation. It sees what is hidden, knows what is unspoken, and weighs not only actions, but intentions. The delay in justice is not a sign of its absence. Many wrongdoers believe that if punishment does not come immediately, it will never come at all. They mistake patience for permission, silence for approval. But divine justice is not dictated by the urgency of human emotions. It waits, not because it is uncertain, but because it moves according to a plan that is greater than human understanding. What seems like a delay is often an unfolding, a process that is setting events in motion in ways unseen. There are times when those who have been wronged look around and see no signs of justice. The betrayer moves on without remorse. The oppressor flourishes. The dishonest prosper. It feels as if the world rewards wrongdoing, as if integrity is meaningless. But justice is not measured by the immediate moment. It is measured by the entirety of existence. The consequences of wrongdoing are not always external. They are often internal, shaping the wrongdoer in ways they do not realize. A person who builds their life on lies will eventually be consumed by them. A person who betrays others will eventually find themselves surrounded by those who cannot be trusted. A person who causes harm will ultimately live within the suffering they have created. Divine justice does not simply punish, it restores balance. It ensures that what was broken is made whole, that what was stolen is repaid, and that every action, whether good or evil, reaches its destined outcome. There is a hidden weight to wrongdoing, one that those who commit it do not immediately feel. They believe they have escaped, that they are free, that they have won. But the weight is there, unseen but real. It is carried in their hearts, in their minds, in their relationships. They may not acknowledge it, but it shapes their lives, their choices, their future. The damage they have done to others returns to them, not always in ways they expect, but always in ways they cannot avoid. Divine justice does not operate according to human expectations. It does not always bring visible punishment, nor does it always satisfy human desires for revenge. But it is perfect in its execution. It ensures that every action bears its rightful fruit, that no deed goes unnoticed, that nothing remains unaccounted for. The timing may seem uncertain, but the certainty of justice itself is never in question. There are those who demand justice immediately, believing that the delay is unfair. They ask why the wicked prosper, why the deceitful rise to power, why the cruel remain unpunished. But divine justice is not about momentary satisfaction, it is about ultimate restoration. The delay is not an oversight. It is an opportunity for the wrongdoer to repent, for the wounded to heal, for the deeper lessons of justice to unfold. What is hidden will be revealed. What is done in the darkness will be brought into the light. Time does not erase injustice, it ensures that it is accounted for. The consequences of actions, though sometimes delayed, are never denied. Divine justice does not falter, does not forget, and does not fail. It may not always take the form that human beings expect, but it will always accomplish its purpose. Every action, whether good or evil, sets in motion a chain of events that cannot be undone. The moment a word is spoken, a decision is made, or an act is committed, consequences begin to unfold, whether seen or unseen, immediate or delayed. People often believe that if no punishment follows wrongdoing right away, they have escaped its effects. But consequences are not always loud, nor do they always appear in the ways expected. They move silently, shaping the future in ways the wrongdoer does not foresee. There is a mistaken belief that consequences only come in the form of external punishment. People expect that those who commit wrongs should suffer visible losses, that they should be exposed, humiliated, or made to pay a tangible price. But the most profound consequences are often internal. A person who deceives others does not only damage those around them, they corrupt their own ability to discern truth. A person who betrays trust does not only wound another, they make themselves incapable of genuine relationships. The cost of wrongdoing is not only what happens to them, but what they become. The weight of one's actions does not disappear simply because the world does not immediately acknowledge it. A person who lies may go unchallenged for years, but in doing so, they create a reality built on falsehoods. They become trapped in a world where they must constantly guard their words, where they cannot trust others because they assume everyone is as deceitful as they are. They do not see the walls they have built around themselves until they find they can no longer escape them. Time does not erase wrongdoing, it amplifies its effects. A seed, when planted, does not sprout immediately, but it grows beneath the surface. A person may believe they have moved on from their misdeeds, that they have left them behind. But just as the roots of a tree extend beyond what is visible, so too do the effects of past choices. The wrongs of yesterday shape the burdens of today. The choices of today build the suffering of tomorrow. No one walks away from their actions untouched. Some consequences reveal themselves in the smallest details of daily life. The one who has lived dishonestly finds that they are always looking over their shoulder. The one who has caused harm struggles to maintain meaningful relationships. The one who has built success on the suffering of others finds that their achievements bring no peace. These are not punishments imposed from the outside. They are the natural results of the life they have chosen to lead. A person cannot plant thorns and expect to harvest fruit. There is a quiet unraveling that takes place in the lives of those who have built their existence on wrongdoing. To the outside world, they may appear unharmed, even thriving. They may wear the appearance of success, of confidence, of security, but beneath the surface, the structure is crumbling. The guilt they ignore, the people they have used, the truth they have buried, these things do not remain buried forever. They resurface in unexpected ways, at unexpected times. The mind may try to suppress them, but the soul does not forget. The most dangerous consequence of wrongdoing is not what happens to a person, but what they become. Every time they choose deceit over truth, they weaken their ability to recognize honesty. Every time they choose selfishness over integrity, they move further from the person they once were. The liar does not simply tell lies, they become unable to recognize truth. The betrayer does not simply break trust, they lose the ability to form genuine connections. The consequences are not only external, they are written into the very fabric of their being. A person who wrongs others often believes they are in control of their own fate, that they can manage the results of their actions. But consequences are not obedient servants. They do not wait to be dismissed. They arrive in ways unplanned, in moments unexpected. The damage done to others does not remain separate from the one who caused it. The suffering inflicted on another does not remain contained. It returns, not always in the ways anticipated, but in ways that cannot be ignored. The workings of consequence do not need to be loud to be real. The absence of immediate retribution does not mean the absence of justice. What is done shapes what will be. A person's actions, whether in darkness or in light, carve the path they must walk. The footprints of their choices follow them wherever they go. They may try to outrun them, but they will find, in the end, that they were never truly free from the weight of what they have done. Suffering at the hands of others leaves scars, both visible and invisible. The wounds inflicted by betrayal, deceit, and cruelty do not simply fade with time, they settle deep into the soul, reshaping thoughts, emotions, and perceptions of the world. The weight of injustice often makes the wronged feel as if they will never truly heal, as if the damage done to them is permanent. But restoration is not only possible, it is inevitable for those who refuse to let their suffering define them. Healing does not mean forgetting what was done. It does not mean pretending that the pain never existed or dismissing the weight of betrayal. True restoration acknowledges the suffering, but it refuses to be trapped by it. There is a choice in how one responds to injustice, to be consumed by bitterness, allowing the actions of others to dictate one's future, or to rise beyond it, using the pain as a foundation for strength rather than a prison of crass. Resentment. The greatest deception of suffering is that it convinces the wounded they are powerless. It whispers that their worth has been diminished, that they will never be whole again, that the harm done to them has taken something that can never be restored. But the truth is that pain, when faced with courage, does not weaken a person, it refines them. What was meant to destroy becomes the very thing that strengthens. What was meant to break becomes the foundation for a new beginning. Resentment is a chain that binds the soul. It ties the wronged to their oppressors, keeping them locked in a cycle of anger and sorrow. To seek justice is natural, but to dwell in bitterness is to give power to those who have already taken too much. The path to restoration is not found in revenge, nor in waiting for the wrongdoer to suffer. It is found in releasing the grip that the past holds over the heart, not as an act of weakness, but as an act of liberation. There is a silent strength in those who have suffered but refused to be defined by it. They carry the weight of their experiences, but they do not allow those experiences to shape their identity. They recognize that their pain is not their master, that they are not what was done to them, that they are not bound by the cruelty of others. They walk forward, not because they have forgotten, but because they have chosen to rise. Restoration does not mean returning to what once was. Some wounds change a person forever, making it impossible to go back to who they were before the suffering. But this is not a loss. It is a transformation. The one who emerges from pain is not weaker but stronger, not naive but wiser, not broken but rebuilt. They carry with them the knowledge of hardship, but also the power of endurance. They are no longer the person who was harmed, they are the person who overcame. The world often measures justice by whether the wrongdoer suffers. It waits for their downfall, their punishment, their moment of reckoning. But true justice is not only about the consequences of the wicked, it is about the restoration of the wounded. It is about lifting those who were cast down, healing those who were harmed, and giving strength to those who were made to feel weak. Justice is not only seen in the suffering of the oppressor, it is seen in the rising of the oppressed. Some may never see their wrongdoers face the consequences they deserve. Some may never hear an apology, never witness a downfall, never receive the closure they seek. But restoration is not dependent on the fate of the oppressor. It is found within the one who was wronged. It is found in the ability to move forward without being bound by the past, in the refusal to let pain dictate the future, in the quiet strength that says, I am more than what was done to me. The broken are not forgotten. The wounded are not abandoned. There is a process unfolding, even in the silence, even in the waiting. The one who suffers today will not suffer forever. The one who was cast down will not remain in darkness. Restoration does not come all at once, nor does it always take the form expected, but it comes. The wronged do not remain defeated, for the same weight that sought to crush them becomes the very force that lifts them beyond what they ever thought possible.